And we're back, Bookstage and Screen with Samantha and Gordon. We've got a very special guest with us at the moment. It's Graeme Simsion. Graeme, how are you?
Good afternoon, Gordon. I'm very well.
Oh, good.
Welcome. We said on our Facebook pages this is our fanboy, fangirl moment because your book, The Rosie Project, is the only book we've actually both read. A book.
Because we've got different reading interests, but there was a combination here.
No problem. So you haven't read the new one yet?
I am. I've been reading it while Gordon's been playing songs today. I'm up to page 110 and very much enjoying it. That's, of course, The Best of Adam Sharp, your new movie.
That's right, and it's a book of 2 parts. So you're still in the first part. About halfway, we turn the record over and play the other side and get a little bit different.
Oh, fantastic. I had no idea. That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Well, Gordon's lost me for the afternoon, clearly. I will not be participating. Well, thank you for joining us. You're just about to start on tour to promote your new book, The Best of Adam Sharp. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, the tour or Adam Sharp. Let me tell you about the tour first.
Sure.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Because publication date is the 19th of September.
Yes.
But I'm heading out, broadly speaking, your way. I'm heading out to the west the day before publication date on Sunday the 18th. Beautiful. And I'm going to do an event at the Masonic Hall in Yarraville for Fun Books. Mm-hmm. And that's a free event with free wine if people book. But then there's a bunch of events around that. I'll be spending a good 3 weeks or so on the road in Australia, and then I'm on the plane to start my overseas promotion. And
is that something you enjoy, the touring?
Look, I decided I would. Look, I'm living the dream, so you would be churlish to not enjoy it.
Yes.
It's very hard when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in the States to get on a plane for yet another day to go around a whole bunch of bookshops signing books and so forth, and just the whole flying thing with security and so on. And there's been a few times I just looked at myself in the mirror and said, Graeme, you're living the dream. Nobody is going to feel sorry for you.
That is a good pep talk.
Well, why don't we go back and just help people out with you. You were a writer at RMIT, screenwriting, and
I studied screenwriting at RMIT. Look, just to put it in context, I was 50 years old when I had this change of heart about what I wanted to do in my life. Mm-hmm. I sold my business and went back to RMIT to study screenwriting. And the story there is basically that my project as I studied screenwriting was the screenplay that became the Rosie Project. Mm-hmm. And when I couldn't find anybody to make the film, I decided to rethink and write it as a book. And really things went from there.
And what was the process there? How long did it take you to write the book once you had a finished screenplay?
This is a terrible question to answer because people take it all the wrong way, but the answer is 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well done. Congratulations.
4 weeks to edit it, and that was the book that got me, the Premier's Literary Award, and it got me a contract. And of course, we went through a lot of editing, a fair bit of editing after that, although the basic shape of the book didn't change. But whenever I say 3 weeks, I say 3 weeks plus 5 years,
yes,
which is how long I spent on the screenplay. And so by the time I sat down to write the book, I knew my characters inside out. I had dialogue I could use. I knew the plot, and none of that really changed.
Okay. But this, you said you've changed to become a writer, but what sort of work had you done previously to that?
Well, I was in information technology. I was a database specialist, or database specialist, as we say, originally. Yep. And then I ended up starting a consultancy, which I grew to around 60 or 70 people by the time I sold it and got out.
And you don't ever think of going back?
I certainly do not. Not for one moment. Look, it was a wonderful career.
Yeah.
I met some terrific people. I enjoyed my work most of the time.
Yeah.
But no, this is the job I want.
Yeah, these kind of creative feed your soul. Yes. So this new book, The Best of Adam Sharp, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, look, the premise of the book is that Adam Sharp is, like Brett, a database specialist.
Yes.
Hang on, how'd you come up with this idea?
Well, you write what you know.
Yes.
I'm not much of a guy for getting out there and researching. I'm much more someone at this age for grabbing things from what I've lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was an easy one, but I made him a piano player by night. So he's a database administrator by day, a piano player by night.
Mm-hmm.
And at the age of 26, he comes to Melbourne, 1989, plays the piano in a bar one night and meets a wonderful woman who he falls madly in love with, and she with him.
Yep.
But they don't succeed in making it work. And he goes back to England, where he's from Manchester, and forgets about it. Well, he doesn't forget about it for 20 years. For 20 years, he moons about it. Every time he hears a sad song, this is the woman he's thinking of, even though he's in a long-term relationship. And one day, he's sitting at his computer, hasn't heard from her for 20 years, and up pops a little message. And she's back in touch. And this is what happens after that.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, okay.
It's good. And I love the fact, because, I mean, as I said, I'm probably only a quarter of the way through it, but you've also, at the end, have a playlist, because music's a big part of this book.
Music's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And look, what I had in mind, and it's a very screenwriterly or filmic thing to want to do, is I wanted a soundtrack to this book. And obviously, well, I won't say obviously, but on the page, you can't have music playing. You can encourage people to play music in the background, but so what you've got to do is to refer to music which you hope your reader will have a fighting chance of knowing. And my goal was that most readers would know about half the songs in the book, and the rest of them, they would figure out what their role was, and their curiosity might be piqued to go and play at some point. And there is a playlist in the book, and there's a playlist on the text publishing website, Spotify playlist, so you can just go on Spotify, you can press the button, and away you go.
You're obviously set it in Melbourne. Well, the part that I have read, I'm not sure about the flip side that you talk of. And it's very, like you're talking about the Maya Music Bowl and like this. Oh, that's very interesting. That's such detail, and Melbourne Cup and all these festivities that you know about in Melbourne. That's obviously another right what you know?
Oh, yeah, look, I think it's important that a story has a sense of place. And the Rosie Project was set in Melbourne, and people really like that about it. I mean, Melbourne people really like that about it.
Yeah.
And look, but even people overseas, I mean, Melbourne's got this reputation as world's most livable city and so forth. So even though it's not iconic like New York or London or Paris or Rome, there's still an interest in what it's like and what it's like to live there.
Yeah.
So you try to evoke a little bit of a sense of place.
Okay. And how does that work when you're travelling around the world? You mentioned you've been to America, but have you been to sort of foreign languages? Has Rosie Project and your other books been transferred into foreign languages?
Yeah, Rosie Project's we've sold the rights for 40 languages. Mm-hmm. And that takes us into places like Catalan, Albanian, Estonian, as well as the better-known languages. Yeah. So yes, I've read the Rosie Project in French, which I read reasonably, and Italian, which I don't read reasonably, but which I've got restaurant Italian, and I know what the book is saying, so it's actually quite good for my Italian.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's quite interesting. And so it translated well. The people got the jokes.
Look, certainly, I can't say. I really don't know whether people in Thailand got the jokes. In fact, I did an interview with Taiwanese journalists, and I felt they didn't, to be honest. I felt they were reading the book without the humour. They were reading it as a straight drama. So something may have been lost in translation, or they just got a different sense of humour. But when I toured Germany, I would read in English, because most of the audience did actually speak English, but there was also an actor reading in German translation. The two of us would alternate. It was like a 1.5 hour reading. Really interesting way of doing things, almost like a night of theatre. And, I knew what the German guy was saying. I knew what he was up to, and people would laugh at exactly the same places as the Australian, American or British audiences would laugh, or Canadian audiences would laugh. So that was really nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
I have heard that the Germans are very keen on books about Australia. I don't know who told me that.
I think they're very keen on our sense of humour. I think for all that we might say about German sense of humour and Dutch sense of humour, the Germans and the Dutch and the Israelis have been huge buyers of the first two books.
Ah.
Okay, well, good.
Tony Jordan, who wrote Edition, has done very well in Germany, I think.
Oh, okay. We had her on our show not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. A few weeks, I think.
You two collaborate or talk about your projects, don't you?
We talk about stuff. We've never collaborated on a book, but we live just around the corner from each other. So, and Tony was my teacher for a while at RMIT.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
But you're sort of similar to us. We're a husband and wife team. Now, you're a husband and wife, 50% of a husband and wife scenario.
Your wife is a writer as well, is what I think.
That's right.
Yes.
My wife is Anne Buist, and she's the author of Medea's Curse, which is a psychological thriller, and a sequel called Dangerous to Know. So she's writing in quite a different genre from me, but we talk intensively about plot and characters, and we go off and write our own thing as drafts, and then we read each other's work and critique it and so on, and we work very closely together.
Oh, so would she be the first one to see your work?
She would be my first reader, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it is very handy having two authors under the one roof. Was she a writer before you were?
Ooh, is that a moot point?
Would you like us to go to the next question?
Yes, she was. She wanted to write from about the age of 8, and she ended up deviating off into a career in medicine, and ultimately she's chair of women's mental health at Melbourne University, so she's forged a career in psychiatry. But she never really let go of the idea of writing, and she published before me. Let it never be said otherwise. But she published erotic fiction. She published under a pseudonym. She published, I think, 10 novels and novellas of erotic fiction for women, which she sort of regarded as stepping stones. She said, look, this is, not what I want to do forever, but I'm getting published, I'm getting read, and I'm getting good practice at all the editing processes, at plotting. And then at a certain point she said, no, I'm back to the mainstream, and that's when she wrote Medea's Curse and Dangerous to Know.
Mm-hmm.
And this weekend you two are actually at a festival, is that right?
We're down at Port Fairy. They've managed to get hold of a few early copies of The Best of Adam Sharp, so I'll be talking about that, and I think we're on 2 panels as a couple. I think it's the first time that we've been on 2 panels as a couple. We sometimes get pulled together.
Oh. Well, that's great. I think that's lovely that you're touring around and talking about your writing, whether it be similar or different.
Well, quite, yeah.
Yeah. We should also mention, because we're not far from Geelong, there is on Friday the 16th, you're at the Geelong Library from 6:30 p.m. as well. So there's the Yarraville one on the 18th, but there's also, if you want to go the other direction for people here in Wyndham, there's the Geelong Library at 6:30 p.m. So we'll put those links up. Yeah,
that is another pre-release event. So officially release date, publication date is the 19th. So on the 16th down in Geelong, that's... we'll have some pre-publication, pre-official copies, and away we go.
Oh, yes. Look, we all like the pre-official copies. At the start of this program, I can't tell you how gleefully I told the audience that I had one. It was pretty pathetic, actually.
Well, I think there's about 200 of them out there in the whole world of sort of pre-reader copies and thank you copies and all those sorts of things. So, it's really exciting at this stage to start getting feedback from real readers after all you've had is your editor's feedback. This is the final bit where you put it out there and you stand there with a certain amount of trepidation to see what people will make of what you've done.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So are you now working on the next one, or are you just lapping up the tour?
The next one is a joint novel with Anne, with my wife.
Yes.
Working title is Left Right.
Okay.
And it's a romantic comedy set on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela, the famous pilgrim's walk in France and Spain, and told from 2 points of view. So alternating chapters, male and female, and we're not setting the bar too high. I'm writing the male and she's writing the female.
That was going to be my next question. Are you going to,
thought it might.
You're going to flip it around. So if Don Tillman and Adam Sharp, if they were in a game show versus each other, who do you think would win in one of those competitions? With our
what's the game?
If they were allowed to choose the topic. Adam Sharp, for the listeners out there, is a pub trivia expert on popular music. So, music of the 60s and 70s, and that's the music that runs largely through the book. So that's Adam's area of expertise. So he would do very well on that. But I think Don, in terms of arcane trivia from right across the gamut of questions would probably be the winner.
Yes, so
very precise too.
Yes, that's interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever think of characters like when you were writing this one? You were just thinking of Adam, or did Don sort of? They're always there, aren't they? Your characters.
Oh yeah, look, I think of them as real people. I mean, I think you have to. But I don't think of people say, "Are you Don Tillman?" I mean, I got asked that all the time with the Rosie Project.
Yeah.
Is he you?
Yeah.
And in fact, some people would just say, "He must be you," and I wasn't sure to take that as an insult or a compliment. I mean, it's an insult in the sense that they think you can only write yourself.
Yeah.
And yet a compliment in the sense that you've managed to convince them that in order to write so accurately, it must have been you.
Yes.
So I've now got Adam Sharp, who I think is quite a different character from Don Tillman. I mean, he's a bit awkward, but no more than the average bloke.
Yeah.
And, so whether people have to say, "You are Adam Sharp," but I have to say my Dutch publisher wrote to me and said, will you be willing to play the piano at the, you get a piano, and will you be willing to play? And I had to write back and say, I don't play the piano.
Sure, if you want me to massacre it.
Well, look, it's not an unreasonable assumption. I mean, there's Zoe Morrison, local author, who's got a terrific book out called Music and Freedom at the moment, and she's a former concert pianist, and she's channeled all that knowledge into the book. I had to talk to a couple of friends, one in particular who plays a lot of piano, and just say, "Tell me the stories. How does it work?"
So can we expect one of your next novels down the track to feature a James Bond type character, and you'll be putting your hand up? Yes, I finally have to confess.
I'm not allowed to write crime. Okay, this is the deal I have with my wife. It's not so much. It's a one-way deal. She just says, "Don't you ever write crime. You're dead if you write crime." This is her territory, and it's bad enough that I'm on her territory as a writer. I don't need to exacerbate it by getting onto her little island.
That's fair enough. Well, that's a pretty easy rule to live with.
Well, I'm very excited to read your co-writing efforts. That'll be interesting.
Well, it's a while down the track. I think perhaps late next year we might see it. We've made a lot of progress with it, but the best of Adam Sharp is very much my focus at the moment.
And we'll say that again. It's out on the 19th. Is that correct?
It's out on the 19th. There'll be a couple of sort of pre-publication events, like the one in Yarraville on Sunday, which is the 18th, and the one in Geelong on, what did you say, the 15th?
16th, Friday night.
Sorry, Friday night in Geelong.
Yeah.
They're the pre-publication events, but in the bookshops on Monday the 19th.
Well, we know it's going to be a smash hit because you've already had 2 smash hits. So
I hope that's not the only reason.
No, but it also is a really fun. I mean, we only got it on. I think we got it on Tuesday, and I'm not a particularly quick reader. I'm already up to page 100, a quarter of the way through it. So it's a really nice, easy read with really good, interesting characters, and you put little, what are they called, little Easter eggs in there. So you're like, what does that mean? And then it all unfolds before you.
Oh, well, good. I mean, I don't think that you have to write in a heavy fashion in order to tackle weighty topics. You can tackle important things with a lighter touch, and that's what I try to do.
Yes, you're a master of it. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the tour. We know you do. And
thank you. Maybe see you along at one of the events. It would be great.
Yes, we'll try to get there.
We'll come up and introduce ourselves. We'll
claim we can play the piano. You'll know who we are.
We'll do something.
Lovely.
All right, fantastic.
That'd be fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Graeme.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Graeme. Bye.